Book 1, Chapter 8 of the Schillinger system is given over to a special technique of what amounts to rhythmic orchestration, of great subtlety and sophistication. The process could be described as being like weaving. Strands of music are laced through the various parts of the score, coordinating the whole in a compelling web of rhythm and timbre. Unfortunately, this chapter of the Schillinger system is one of the most complex, in fact opaque parts of the text, and requires considerable discipline if one is to master its methods in a musically useful way. Unless the starting ingredients are kept very small, the resulting scheme of attacks quickly becomes unmanageable. This technique would be most suitable for a computer algorithm, but even computer assistance wouldn't entirely solve the problem of how the composer handles the vast amount of attacks and durations that would be produced. What follows is a summary of the process using simple ingredients. PLI, pli, stands for places of instrumentation and could be thought of as the number of parts in the score, in this case 2. The source of the sound, PLI, should not be confused with a place of attack, PLA, pla. As we've seen in time structures B7 and 8, a place of attack is an opportunity, as it were, for sound to be made by an instrument at that point. A pla could be thought of as hosting a number of individual attacks. The place of attack is important because it's a member of a group of such places, that is, a group of undefined time frames that are widely dispersed through a number of instrumental parts. The detailed rhythms of this window of opportunity are determined by other parameters, as we'll see later. The interference between pli and pla is called PL and will often result in an extended cycle. Indeed, the whole process of coordination of time structures is really a cascade of synchronizations. New layers of detail are imposed. So now a new layer of detail is imposed on the attack groups. An attack group pattern, AA, is defined as both a quantity of attacks and a number of attack groups. The number of groups, in this case 3 groups, is synchronized with PL, resulting in A, which is another extended cycle of attacks. And so yet another pattern is introduced. This time a pattern of durations, itself an attack group of course, is synchronized with the result of the last synchronization, the one we called A. I've used a pattern based on 4/3 type 1. The rhythm AT is defined as both a sequence of duration and a quantity of attacks. The number of attacks, in this case 8, is synchronized with A, producing A prime, the total number of attacks in the composition. Since A prime is repeated 5 times, and since the total duration of AT is 12, then the entire pattern is 60 time units. This is the total duration of the composition, T prime. You can see how the individual durations of AT have been mapped on to the now individuated attacks. Now all we have to do is assign a music symbol as the unit of duration, small t. Meter is imposed with the symbol T double prime, and the number of bars in the sequence is termed NT. Just to illustrate the plasticity of music and the multiple musical directions that could be followed from this one scheme, I've introduced only two new components, a master pattern of pitches and the timbre of the piano, to an otherwise identical scheme of attacks and dynamic.